afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. On today's program, we will learn all about a group called 4C Trees here in Quincy. Their plans to commemorate the victims of the pandemic here in Quincy. First, though, we check out the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, kind of gray and damp. It's 57 degrees right now. We'll have off and on rain throughout the day today. It'll be rather chilly, too, with a high barely 60 degrees. The showers will continue into this evening. Lows drop off into the mid-50s. A little better tomorrow. Not great. Still some morning rain. Maybe some breaks later in the afternoon. High tomorrow again in the low 60s. Much better on Wednesday. Partial sunshine near 70, and I think Thursday is the pick of the week with sunshine and mild temperatures in the mid-70s. Again, right now, kind of gray and damp, 57 degrees in Quincy. In the news today, there will be some changes to wards and precincts in Quincy beginning next year. The Board of Registrars of Voters has designed a new ward and precinct map based on the increase in population reflected in the 2020 federal census. City Clerk Nicole Crispo, chair of the Board of Registrars of Voters, says that every effort was made to keep those changes as minimal as possible.
We tried to do the least amount of disruption for anybody. You know, obviously someone needs to live at the end of the precinct. We understand that. And, you know, but I think I'm really proud of the map. I think that it came out really well. There were some changes along the T line that we have that goes through our city. You know, when you cross over a legal boundary like that, it's tough. So we tried to bring all of those back in line. So, for instance, Ward 2 and Ward 4, there with the Water Street Bridge. Mm-hmm. So everything on the left side over near Bogan Tree is Ward 2 now. Oh, and everything on the right side is Ward 4.
Now, one notable change is that the 1000 Southern Artery Senior Center will revert back to being in Ward 2 Precinct 2 instead of being in its own district in Ward 2 Precinct 3A. So it makes a total of 5 precincts in each of Quincy's 6 wards. Now, the City Council will vote on the proposed changes tonight. They also require the mayor's signature and state approval. Crispo says all the changes take effect next year, and those affected will be notified. There will be no changes in wards or precincts this year. A student in the Goals program in the Quincy Public School System will be in court tomorrow for a judge to determine if he should be released on bail. 18-year-old Tramari Sherry Emile is charged with bringing a loaded handgun to the program at North Quincy High School last Monday. Emile was arrested after reportedly showing the gun to another student who reported him. Emile was apprehended at the North Quincy T station, where officers did recover the loaded Glock handgun, a 17-round magazine, some marijuana, and $200 in cash. Emile was held without bail pending tomorrow's hearing. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says Emile will be expelled from the Quincy Public Schools. Braintree man facing charges that he was inside of a stolen van in Quincy with cocaine. Police say 47-year-old Anthony Malvarosa was caught inside a stolen van in the Home Depot parking lot on Willard Street last Thursday. Officers responded to a report of a suspicious van. They found Malvarosa. He fled on foot, quickly apprehended, though, with help of a police canine on nearby Cross Street. Malvarosa now charged with receiving a stolen vehicle and possession of a Class B drug. Police say the van had been reported stolen in New Hampshire on September 20th. Quincy City Council calling on the state to enforce the ban on commercial vehicles on Furnace Brook Parkway and Quincy Shore Drive. Ward 5 Councilor Charles Phelan says the issue is causing a quality of life issue in neighborhoods surrounding those roadways.
It let up a little during the pandemic, but now it's starting to kick back up, and there are huge delivery trucks that the street was never meant for. And then working with the Quincy police, trying to get state police to do something that's been a little tough. So I bring this resolve in kind of out of what I've heard from a lot of people. I've heard from, as we're in an election year, I'm going door to door. I've also received several emails from people in the area where these tractor trailers will come down side streets, get caught in the middle of the street, and you have a disaster. But first of all, the street's right off of Furnace Brook, so there shouldn't even be a tractor trailer on it. And this is becoming more commonplace. And I think where we don't have the enforcement on this, that I put this resolve together. I thank for Council Palmucci and Council Mahoney for joining me on this, but I would like to send this to our state delegation.
Now, the resolution first included only Furnace Brook Parkway for the commercial vehicle ban, but it will be amended at tonight's meeting to also include Quincy Shore Drive. It calls on state police and the Department of Conservation and Recreation to enforce the truck ban on both roadways. Reckless bicycle riders would risk losing their bicycles under a proposed new ordinance here in Quincy. City Council wants police to enforce the existing regulations regarding bicycle use in the city, which are very similar to the rules of the road for motorists. Ward 4 Councilor Brian Palmucci says the big difference is that violators could ultimately have their bicycles impounded.
So there's nothing new here that isn't already a law in Massachusetts. The only thing that is novel about this particular ordinance is the penalties that someone who violates this regulation would face, and that would be most importantly and most severely would be the forfeiture of bicycles. And this is a direct response to, I think we've all probably had these calls, but about bands of roving teenage boys riding bicycles in the middle of the street, ignoring traffic or disrupting the flow of traffic. I get a report of something happened on Furnace Brook Parkway where someone was hit, and the boys on the bike got out and they stomped in the windshield of the driver. It was really a very very bad situation.
Sponsors of the ordinance say young people riding bicycles recklessly are causing dangerous conditions for themselves and for motorists and pedestrians. Quincy School Committee Vice Chair Catherine Hubley has been hired as the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Pat McDermott says Hubley will lead the Sheriff's Norfolk County Youth Substance Use and Mental Health Task Force, connecting young people, schools, law enforcement, public health agencies, and other community partners to share best practices and take a county-wide approach to addressing those issues. Hubley has served on the Quincy School Committee since 2012. It is also a member of the Quincy Parent Advisory Council to Special Education, Vice President of the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association, and on the board of the Friends of the Kennedy Center. The Norfolk County Central Labor Council, the United Way, and Liberty Bay Credit Union have all helped to raise $13,000 for Cradles to Crayons. Last week, Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch joined representatives from all those groups right in front of City Hall to present a check to that organization that collects clothing for needy youngsters all across the South Shore. Organizers say the funds will be used to provide winter coats for children in the region. Coming up next, Elizabeth DiMatteo is here of 4C Tree in Quincy. That's next. Welcome back. At last check, there have been 153 people from Quincy who have died of COVID-19. And there's a group called 4C Tree that's looking to commemorate those individuals with some tree plantings. Elizabeth DiMatteo from that group is here to tell us all about it. Elizabeth, thanks for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. When I first heard about this, I actually heard about this through the Friends of Wollaston Beach.
Yes.
At their annual meeting, and they kind of promoted the fact that your group existed and that this was they were doing. And my ears perked up, and I said, I've never heard of that. You know, I want to find out more. And lo and behold, here you are. So thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
for having me. Yeah. We have been working really hard in spreading the word about 4C Trees. So it originated in Newton, and they did their planting this past fall. Previously, they planted about 135 trees.
Really?
In Newton,
Okay.
and then they are looking to plant another 135 trees this upcoming fall.
Okay.
So they've had a harder time doing it throughout the COVID pandemic because they obviously started it, and it was started by a girl, Elizabeth, also
Yeah.
Elizabeth Sockwell in Newton,
Okay.
with a youth-led organization. So we're doing things a little differently in Quincy, but nevertheless the same idea.
What is the 4C designation? Do you know what that
It is.
means?
It's so 4 C's for capture, carbon, commemorate COVID,
Oh, all right.
and a way to preserve the environment while commemorating the lives lost due to COVID.
Very good. Could you repeat that one more time? Because I think it's important.
Yes. Capture, carbon, commemorate COVID.
Okay. And Elizabeth in Newton came up with this idea?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And was it the same idea there to plant trees in memory of people who have died? Mm-hmm. It is.
Yep.
And so is this something that's, pardon the pun, but branching out? Not meant to be funny, really, but it's just a good, I guess, indicator of how this is spreading.
Yeah. So I heard about it actually via like Boston 25 News. They did a segment on Elizabeth in Newton, and
all right.
I watched it one night and I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of went to bed, slept on it, and I was like, that's really cool. And
Yep.
so I kind of did some research about if anything had already happened like that in Quincy, if there were anything that was started, if there was just any like initiative
Something, right?
regarding
Yeah.
it. And when there wasn't, I was like, kind of brushed it off. Well, I can't be that person. That's not going to happen.
That's not you, right?
That's-
Yeah. I'm not
nah.
a community organizer. I
No,
don't do those
that's a
kinds of
whole
things.
project.
Yeah.
And then I looked into it, and I was going through some personal situations, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to be that person.
Okay.
And here we are in Quincy.
Wow. When did you start putting this together?
It's been a process.
Yeah.
Where are we? 2021?
Yeah.
Last winter,
Really?
like 2020, like January of 2020 was when I had kind of seen Elizabeth's plantings
Mm-hmm.
and her segment. And then since then it's been organization,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find the right people to reach out to. Once you find those people, okay, what are these people going to do? And then after getting approved by the mayor, approved by all of the like Department of Natural Resources, making sure that this is something that we have the space, we have the money, we have the time. Once all of those things were ironed out, it was like, okay, approval.
This is going to happen.
We can do it.
Yeah.
And so it's just been ever since then actually going off of the approval.
Right.
So it's been a process.
Okay. So did you enjoy the process?
I have very much enjoyed the
Did you
process.
really?
Yeah. Yep. Reaching
Okay.
out to so many people and talking to a lot of individuals in Quincy that
Yeah.
I didn't realize we had so many bonds.
I was just going to
about
ask,
so
what
many
did you
things.
learn about the city that you didn't know? Because you're a Quincy native.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you probably found out a whole lot more about the city that you live in now.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I found out. Fortunately, the city's paying for this project, so we actually have a budget for this type of plantings. So if you want a tree planted next to a particular bench or like in front of your house or something, it's free to you because the city's paying for it because the city has a budget to pay for these types of trees put in different places.
Okay.
So that was new to me because
Yep.
in Newton, they actually fundraised all of the money themselves.
Really?
Because they collaborated with a bunch of different groups and all like created a fund for this particularly. So I was anticipating having to do the same thing
Right.
here. So we are so fortunate enough that the city is supporting it 100%.
Yeah.
And it's not something that people have to worry about. It just benefits everyone.
Yeah, just somebody like yourself has to come up with an idea to tap into that.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe you'll inspire other folks to do similar things for other causes too. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
When I had reached out to Elizabeth, we were both kind of taken back at the idea that one, she had came up with the idea,
Yeah.
and then there was me wanting to continue the idea.
Yep.
So it was just like so much excitement from
Yeah.
one conversation. And now if it could be spread to other towns, whether in, Massachusetts, the United States, if it could just be spread somewhere like one of us, to create it in their town, like that would be the goal.
Yeah.
That would be just absolutely amazing.
Are you familiar of any others, at least locally, that are doing something similar?
Well, not yet.
Okay. All right, all right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, maybe through this show. Who knows?
Exactly.
You mentioned you were going through some personal issues with regard to COVID?
Yes, yep. I have a family member, my uncle in Ohio, who passed away due to COVID. It
sorry.
was, thank you. It was a lot.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to physically see the personal toll, but my aunt, his wife, was actually just with us. She visited for a few weeks, and we had heard all about it, text calls during
Right.
the time. This was February of this year when he passed, and we were getting all the updates then of hearing the toll it was taking on his body. But then when she came here, and we actually kind of like relived it again of actually hearing it from her. So
Yeah.
it was a lot. It was definitely a lot.
Yeah. Did it kind of help to encourage you to follow through with this project? Yeah. There's
for
a personal
sure.
meaning to it, right? Yeah.
Yep, because fortunately enough, I haven't been affected more,
Yes.
but the biggest impact it had was taking my school and putting it online.
Okay.
So
All right.
other than that, I'm very, very grateful.
Sure. It does cause a lot of people to reassess their priorities.
That's for sure.
And develop stronger connections, I think, within their families too,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I'm sure, what you're hoping that these tree plantings will do, right? Tell
Mm-hmm.
me all about what's happening this coming weekend.
So we will be starting Friday and Saturday from 11 to 2, and they are at 2 different parks in Quincy that have funky names because they're not like your common like Pageant Field or like Adams Field. That's Monroe Park and Passaganusset Park.
Very good.
Yep.
Yes.
And they're kind of more like barren green spaces where we're hoping with Mike Casanelli, he's the project manager over in the Department of Natural Resources in Quincy, to plant 200 trees.
200. But
200.
at both locations?
No, in total.
100 each.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because the spacing is
Yep.
different, there's also different types of trees that we're going to be planting. So
Okay.
there's small ones that will only grow to a certain height. There
Gotcha.
are bigger ones that will take up some more space. So I think Passaganus is bigger than Monroe Park.
Oh, it is. It's over at Broad Meadows. It's
Okay,
huge.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because Monroe is the skate park. So, so Passaganusset will likely have more trees than Monroe. So
Okay.
ideally 200 in total.
Okay.
And it depends on the turnout. So
Sure. Yeah.
come, definitely come and help
Oh.
plant a tree because
Oh, so
probably the first time you can.
Oh, all right. So it's going to be the people who show up that actually do the planting?
Yes.
Ah,
Yep.
okay. So this is really what you're reaching out for, is for folks to come out and plant,
plant.
In memory of somebody they lost
Yeah.
perhaps? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole idea of it being so much of a community outreach
Yeah.
is the fact that it's not going to be like heavy machinery that's
Yep.
doing the planting.
Yep.
And having a whole crew of gardeners come and do the planting for, this family or that family or this person. It's you. Okay, I'm helping to plant this tree in memory of my person.
Okay.
And the same person next to you, okay, well, they're helping to plant this tree in memory of their person.
Gotcha.
So that's the idea that I'm truthfully super excited about.
Yeah.
Because the idea of there also being different trees is for different people of all ages, people of all, backgrounds, just all coming together for this one same idea.
Okay.
And so it's really like unifying.
Now, the city's supplying the trees. I'm assuming they're saplings or smaller trees? Or?
There's a variety of
Okay.
them. There's like red cedar, there's birch trees. One of them is called a tupelo tree, which is a black gum, or AKA black gum. The specifics of all of those are
Yeah.
over my head.
No, that's
but
why there is an actual tree warden in the city, I'm sure,
Yes.
that's helped to
Yep.
make sure the right tree goes in the right spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these are all trees that are made to thrive for
Yes.
our specific environment too, because obviously you wake up and it's winter and later in the day it's summer.
Right.
And so we need
Yes.
trees that are going to be able to withstand that.
Yeah. Now, will you be planting a tree in memory of your uncle?
I sure will.
Sure. Yeah. Which park are you gonna? I'm sure you're gonna try and get to both,
I'm going
right?
to definitely try and get to both. That was
Okay.
the idea too. When we were trying to iron out the details of all of this, it was, okay, well, do we have it on one day? Do we have both parks on one day?
Yeah.
Do we have both parks across 2 days? Like, we didn't really know how. So the idea of only having one day dedicated to one park was so that no one would be able to miss out.
Okay.
And doing it over Columbus weekend hopefully gives people a little more flexibility, like work schedule, school schedule, having it on a weekday versus a weekend, having it on a holiday for a rain day. We were really trying to accommodate getting the most people there.
Sure. So you said it Friday, Saturday, but we have it Saturday and Sunday. Is that right?
Yep, that would be it.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so Saturday, October 9th, 11 to 2 at Passamaquoddy Park.
Correct.
Broad Meadows. Then Sunday, October 10th, 11 to 2 at Monroe Park.
Correct.
On Pond Street, which is what you mentioned with the new skate park.
Yes.
Is as well. And I know there was some concern, I guess, about interfering with the skate park, but it comes to turn out that's not going to be a problem, right?
Yeah, so when I personally didn't have any say in which parks we were going to do. I was leaving that up to the people that know more than me.
Okay, all right.
In that particular area, but we were aiming to not take over any field or area that was already kind of had its place. Like we weren't trying to take over a soccer field, we weren't trying to take over a baseball field, we weren't trying to take over a dog park, like anything of that sort.
Yep.
So these fields are just kind of there
Okay.
and just being a field.
Yeah, the
just
city
being
calls them passive.
Yeah.
Passive spaces.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the skate park, I was worried. Obviously, the skate park's there, and I didn't want to take over that area. Would that be an area where people have certain things that they like to do in that area? Like, I don't know. I don't skate.
Right, yeah.
So then it was brought to my attention when I was talking about this with someone else that, well, if they're out skating all day and they're in the sunlight and, enjoying themselves, well, why not have a nice tree to go and lean back on and
There you go.
relax and just kind of beautify that area? And I was like, oh, okay, so we're not interfering with the skate park then.
Right, you're enhancing it actually.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Will there be any kind of like a plaque, Elizabeth, or something to indicate the fact that these trees are planted for COVID victims? Do you know?
To my knowledge, for this weekend, no.
Okay.
But what we are doing as a placeholder for that is actually painting rocks. So we're going to have a table set up with just some like paints, some paintbrushes, and have an area where anyone can come, and if they want to design a rock, whether it be a message of kindness, whether it be their relative's name, whether it be anything under the sun that they want to put on it,
Okay.
they can take that and go do with what they will with
Oh,
it
all right.
on the tree.
Okay, very good. Just thinking, what if there are more folks who pass away from COVID? Is there a plan to go to another park, perhaps, with more tree plantings? Do you know? I know.
I don't want that
o-
situation,
obviously,
but
right,
yeah. If it did come to that, then I would hope so.
Sure.
I'd hope we'd be able to, find the green space for it,
Yeah.
because if we have the space, then why not put like a tree there?
Yeah, well, it's literally a living memorial,
Exactly.
to the folks. Yeah, and for yourself, maybe folks who've lost somebody out of state, something locally to go to, and sit and remember them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wish you the best. I hope
Thank
folks
you.
come out. Do you want folks to bring shovels and rakes and?
Yes, actually,
Okay.
yeah. The city's paying for it, but we're
Yeah.
also using everything that the city has. So
Yep.
there's only certain numbers of shovels, gloves, those kind of
Okay.
gardening tools. So we are encouraging that people bring their own tools. Plus, for the avid gardeners out there, my mom being one of them, she loves planting her flowers and her vegetables.
They're well equipped.
Yes,
Yeah.
she has her tools. She has her particular things that she likes.
Yeah.
Same thing with my Nana. They each have their own type of equipment that they
Sure.
like to use. So if you have any of them, we are recommending that you bring some. And
to
for
know.
the fact that no one's kind of standing there not doing anything, you just
Right.
kind of give something for everyone to do.
Good for you for doing this.
Thank you.
And I hope it's a great success for you. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you so much for having me. We're trying our best to advertise, for lack of a better word,
Yep.
but we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page. If you've seen me handing around flyers to your local restaurants or stores, I apologize for disrupting,
No.
but
Yeah.
just trying to really find a way to connect with the most amount of people.
Yeah.
And so this is another way to connect with even broader amount of people.
Yeah,
So I
hopefully-
appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope we helped a little bit.
I hope so.
yeah.
I hope so. Come out.
All right. Thanks again, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. Kind of what you see is what you get. Gray and damp with off and on showers. Cool, around 60 degrees. Wet tonight, mid-50s. Tomorrow's going to start out damp again with some showers, maybe some breaks later. Better on Wednesday and even better on Thursday. Sunshine and highs in the mid-70s. Thanks again to Elizabeth DiMatteo for joining us today from 4C Trees.
Thank you.
Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. Friday here on the program, we're learning about the South Shore Women's Conference that is coming up later on this month. For all of us here at Quincy Access Television, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great week.